Thanks for joining us. This is Sarah Jones with Politicus Radio, coming to you the day after Republican Karen Handel barely won a very red district in Georgia on the day it was announced today, that is, that the Senate death care bill that's your warning that this is a death care bill, will be unveiled on Thursday tomorrow at 9:30 in the morning. The final bill will only have about 2 days for public review after the CBO score before Republicans vote on it. Joining me to talk about Trumpcare is Politicus USA's editor-in-chief, Jason Easley.
Thank you for having me, Sarah.
Thanks for joining us. Immediately after the election last night, you wrote about that the real fight for Democrats is killing Trumpcare.
Yes, the actual, everybody got emotionally involved in the special elections, and I think that's completely understandable after such a disappointing result in November. But the reality is the big win, the win that the Republicans really want, the win that Trump is lusting after every single day, is health care. This is that signature piece of legislation, that legislative accomplishment he's always talking about.
Well, it's what Republicans have been running on forever, and Donald Trump promised he would do I think he said he would do it the first day he was in office, but here we are, so many days later. This obviously hasn't happened. Of course, that was an unrealistic promise on his part. However, who knew that Republicans were going to start conducting themselves like we weren't in America anymore and just gathering up legislation behind closed doors and passing it? Legislation that's going to kill millions of people, I might add.
Yes.
So,
yes, legislation that will kill at least 40,000 Americans a year, if my memory serves.
Democrats, to me, they barely lost in the red district. I tweeted this earlier this morning. This is no time for insecurity. It's no time to be looking around for who to blame in the Democratic Party. There is no one to blame. Democrats are on, they have a chance, actually, to take back the House. They perform so well in these Republican districts that they have a chance. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but the fact that it's even a possibility with the kind of majority that Republicans have built up with their gerrymandering in the House is incredible. What people need to do is stay focused on this war. This is a war. This is not one battle. And one huge part of this, not because it's resisting Trump and not because it's going to, deprive Republicans of a win. If Republicans wanted to come up with a health care bill, if they wanted to tweak Obamacare and take credit for it, I think Democrats, fine. Do whatever you guys got to do to pat yourself on the back, but don't hurt American people. What they're doing is hurting American people. The Republican Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, rejected Senator Chuck Schumer's request for 10 hours of debate. In contrast, Obamacare, the ACA, had 36 days of hearings, 18 days of markup, 270 hours of debate. I'd like to play you a little clip of Mitch McConnell back in the days of Obamacare when he was claiming falsely that Democrats were doing this behind closed doors, which is absolutely untrue based on the on reality and on the numbers I just read to you. So here's Mitch McConnell with the big lie. The lie that he is now making true by enacting it himself.
Bill is because they knew it had no bipartisan support, in addition to the fact that it was an awful proposal, cooked up behind closed doors with a whole lot of special deals. Everything about it turned the American people off. That's not the way to operate. The president ought to take this as a message to recalibrate how he wants to govern. And if he wants to govern in the middle, I think we'll be happy to meet him there.
LOL. That was Mitch McConnell telling President Obama if he wanted to govern in the middle, Republicans who had obstructed everything that president tried to do and decided they would obstruct him before he even took office, claiming they would meet him in the middle. Did they try to help craft Obamacare so that it would be more successful? No. I would like to give you another... I'm all fired up today, people. I'd like to give you some more figures here to contrast with what the Senate is doing, because that's where this bill is coming out of right now. The bill that we don't know anything about, the secret death care bill in the Senate. The Senate, let's compare this Mitch McConnell, who just you heard him back in 2008 and 2009 pretending that Democrats did all this in the dark. who, by the way, promised he would restore regular order and process, only to get the majority and spit on democracy and negotiate the health care bill in secret. So here's some statistics for Mitch McConnell, for you all to take to your senators when you make phone calls to them. The Senate Help Committee held more than 47 bipartisan hearings on Obamacare, roundtables, and walkthroughs on health insurance reform. They considered nearly 300 amendments during a 13-day markup, one of the longest in congressional history, or as Mitch McConnell would say, negotiating behind closed doors. They accepted more than 160 Republican amendments during that process. The Senate Finance Committee posted their legislation online for 6 days before the markup. The Senate Help Committee posted their legislation online for 6 days before the markup. The Senate spent 25 consecutive days in session on health care reform, the longest consecutive session in history. Or as Mitch McConnell would say, behind closed doors. In total, the Senate spent more than 160 hours considering the health care reform legislation, and Mitch McConnell is denying Democrats 10 hours. And by Democrats, I guess I mean the people of the United States, because it seems that we are now Republicans versus everyone else. Your thoughts? Take it away, Jason. I know you have thoughts on this.
So, while everyone was feeling bummed about losing a special election, which wouldn't have changed anything, there is no way, I heard Chuck Todd say this, that it would impact healthcare if John Ossoff won. That's bull. The Republicans are negotiating their bill behind closed doors. Nothing is going to impact them. Nothing would stop them. They don't care if John Ossoff won. They wouldn't care if they lost 4 House special elections. That wouldn't stop this healthcare bill. Republicans are obsessed with getting this bill pushed through before Trump goes down. Adam Schiff said it. Republicans want to get healthcare, tax cuts, and regulation repeal before the wheels fall off of this administration.
Republicans are scared right now. Don't forget that. They are putting on all their bravado in public like they usually do. I mean, they do this so much better than Democrats, let's face it. But they're all out there. Oh, this is what the people wanted us to do. Of course, the people didn't want this. Donald Trump did not win this election electorally. I mean, the people don't want Obamacare taken away. That's been polled endlessly. Republicans are denying that. But I bet to your point about the Georgia election, Dave Weigel made a point today. Republicans ran 2 ads linking Ossoff to Kathy Griffin, who tweeted about him once. Democrats ran 0 ads linking Handel to Trump. That's something I think that that district was turned off by Trump. So that could have been something that, might have been helpful. We can't go back and know what would have quote worked. I actually think they were very successful. And he polled above her. So there you go. Another race where the Democrat was polling slightly ahead, but didn't win. It was a Republican
the polling
district.
was pretty much, as you saw, the very last poll was with less than 1 point,
right,
which means
that's
it's
true.
even. When you factor in the margin of error, it was 3 or 4 points either way.
That's
Handel
true.
won by 4. So the polling wasn't off.
No, but the polling before that, he was a little more ahead of her.
That was garbage. And everybody who understood polling said, don't pay attention to it. It's 5.
Okay, well,
5.7.
then people should know that, because otherwise it starts to look like
Yeah.
all of these races look the same.
And it's really,
I mean, you're
really,
the polling expert
it's
here,
exponentially more difficult to poll a congressional race. The lower you
that's
get,
true, yeah.
the lower you get in the political pecking order, and the smaller the size race gets, the race gets, it's harder it is to accurately poll consistently.
That's a really good point.
So you're going to have more accuracy on a Senate poll, a statewide poll, than you would in a House poll.
Well, I'll tell you a poll we do know about is people don't want Obamacare taken away.
Yeah, that's a given. People do not want to lose their health care, and that's the thing. Republicans knew, going back to 2010, they knew that if this law came into effect, people would like it once they had it. Which is why they've been working so hard to sabotage it at the state level and judicially in every other way they could think of, because they knew that once this was enacted, once people get something and it works, they don't want to give it up.
Right. Well, I mean, and they are sabotaging it. They actually, even though it's law, the health department is sabotaging it. They put out like a propaganda statement against Obamacare They're not urging health companies to sign up and participate in it like they're supposed to. I mean, they're actually undermining, I wouldn't say they're violating, they're undermining the law.
Sabotage.
It's sabotage. So then they're going to use that, and they have been doing this for a while, to, remember when they tried to make the glitch, and the media went along with that?
Yeah.
The glitch was the reason why health care for people, affordable health care, was a failure. This is unbelievable. We can't get sidetracked on stuff like this. So you can't fall for this. They're sabotaging Obamacare. I personally, this is Obama's legacy. He is the one who got a coalition with the help of Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid and others to pass this huge piece of legislation. So he deserves credit for that. But I think even he would say, I'm not speaking for him, but just based on his behavior and his care for the people, the most important thing is that people have health care. It doesn't matter. Republicans are being so petty. They literally, there's not even a reason for them to be undermining this except that they ran on it for so long. It's a political tool for them.
There's something very important that I think needs to be repeated again and again and again in the coming days, weeks, and months. This bill is not just a repeal of Obamacare. This bill goes, we're not going to go back to the old system if this legislation passes and is signed into law. This is worse than the old system. This bill goes further back.
It's
beyond
hurting even more people.
Beyond what existed, let's say, during the Bush presidency that everybody was complaining about and so upset about and saying healthcare was broken. This bill is worse than that. It goes beyond that. It cuts more. It takes away more. It gives people even fewer rights than if you own employees. It's going to threaten employer insurance if you get your insurance from work. This is going to change everything in a very, very bad way. And so when people talk about it as a repeal, just a repeal bill, it's not. It is a total gutting of the funding for the healthcare system in this country and how the healthcare system in this country operates.
That is such a great point. I don't think it's made enough. You're right. It's because they keep using the word and how convenient for them that they're repealing Obamacare. People also don't understand, especially Republicans, but maybe independents as well. It isn't. When people say Obamacare, a lot of these folks on the right think that means all the people they see as, living off the system, which is them a lot of times. They don't seem to realize that.
All those people getting subsidies, that's all they think of.
Right, they think of that. They think of Obamacare as the marketplace that's giving subsidies to people. Obamacare is a marketplace based on somewhat Republican ideas, but everyone on there is not getting subsidies. There are many people who will use it, like people who own their own business, people who are independent contractors. This whole idea of small businesses, that's where a lot of small businesses got their insurance. Furthermore, Obamacare is not just a marketplace, it is regulatory. It's regulatory laws that give people rights, that give consumers, people who are paying for this insurance or have subsidies and pay for part of it, it gives them rights. It gives us, the American people, the right to get their side of the contract that they're paying for, which insurance companies didn't used to do. You could pay them. This happened to me. I know this happened all the time because it happened to me. You can pay your bill on time every month. You can get insurance through your employer. You can get insurance through a union. And they can still deny you coverage whenever they wanted to. That was pre-Obamacare. It's not just the ability to buy insurance. It's much larger than that.
Yeah, I mean, and this is how Republicans have warped the discussion. And this is why this fight is so important. It's more important than a special election. It's more important than anything that you think would make you feel better. If you want to stick it to Donald Trump, if you want Donald Trump to really feel like a failure, you want to send him a real message, make sure that at least, that right now there are 7 Republicans who say there are no votes on this bill. That's probably a negotiating tactic because they're trying to negotiate a better bill. You need to make sure at least 3 of those Republicans stay no votes to kill the bill.
People need to be out. They need to be protesting. They need to be making calls. They need to
be
seen.
Flood the switchboards.
But I mean, be seen. Be seen so the press can see you. So this narrative, they want political capital, and they'll take any. I'm sure they're using. I haven't heard this yet, but I couldn't stand listening to them this morning. I don't like to listen to people go to sit there and kind of troll people over a quote win unquote that isn't actually a win. What happened in Georgia is not a win for Republicans. This is not a mandate for them.
Just when you lose 15 points from November to June, with the same electorate in the same race